Further away, but it's too late now. Hi, my name is Courtney, and I am very passionate about helping women with invisible illnesses realize that you can still lead a pretty healthy and active lifestyle. It's just not going to be the one you had envisioned for yourself, but the time is going to pass regardless. I also should have wiped off my lens. Um, it's just been an interesting week. It's been a very emotionally stressful week for me. And unfortunately, my situation being what it is, if I've got emotional stress, I have physical stress because they're very tied, but it's really noticeable when you have health situations like I do. Um, and this information, by the way, is from me. There are a couple of statistics that I talk about initially, but this is how I have learned to deal with all this mess. This is how I keep myself going when things are difficult. 'Cause you know what? Life can be hard sometimes. Life can be hard for people that don't deal with chronic pain. And when you have chronic pain and life is difficult, then oh, my chair's squeaky, then you know that there's a huge physical toll. So let's talk about this in some ways to deal with it. According to Psychology Today, there's about 100 million Americans that deal with chronic pain. That's a pretty remarkable number. That's almost a third. Now, there's no hard data regarding suicide rates for people who deal with chronic pain, but sufferers are believed to be twice as likely as the normal population. I shouldn't say normal. I mean, we're normal people. We just have weird health crap. Um, How about sufferers are believed to be twice as likely as the average person? And here's the thing, it's not just the physical, it's emotionally freaking devastating. I can deal with most of the physical stuff. I can, for the most part, I can put it in the back of my head, at least during the day. Nighttime's a whole other ballgame, but I'm pretty good at putting it in the back of my mind, distracting myself, keeping myself busy. And you do get used to a certain level of it. But years ago, I told I told a chiropractor that I used to see, I was really frustrated. And I was like, I have no pain tolerance at all. And it's just frustrating. And he laughed and he said, actually, you have an incredible pain tolerance. You're just maxed out all the time. So it doesn't take much to push you over that edge. But you do get used to a certain level of it. And the ubiquitous they like to say that a good day for somebody like me is like you having the flu body aches. Well, how freaking productive were you the last time you had the flu body aches? How much did you get up and get done? Did you get up? Did you go to work? Did you clean your house? Did you cook? I mean, what'd you do? Chances are you probably took it pretty easy, but that's a good day for somebody like me. When I get flares, which I've been flaring all freaking week. The best way that I know of to describe them, this is not mine. I don't remember who I stole it from. I stole it years ago, but it was such a good one. It's like a full body migraine. Excuse me. Now, you either understand that or you don't. If you've never had a migraine, that's completely useless. If you've had a migraine, you're thinking, oh, crap. Yeah, exactly. I get, personally speaking, everybody's going to be a little different, of course, but I get extraordinarily light and sound sensitive. That's why I'm wearing a hat today. I get, I don't know how, this is going to sound so nuts, but I don't know how else to describe it. It's almost like somebody has lightly sanded my skin, and I am extremely, excruciatingly aware of the pressure of my clothes, of the way my hair feels on my neck, of my socks bother me, my leggings. I wear leggings all the time because it's as close as I can come to wearing pajamas out of the house, and I can really dress them up, and I like to look nice. So I can really dress up a pair of leggings, and they're super comfortable most of the time, but not on days when I'm flaring really bad. My clothes hurt. This sounds so nuts, I know, but my hair hurts. What the hell does that mean, right? And again, that's something I didn't come up with that on my own. I saw a quote from a doctor saying, referring to a patient. She said her hair hurts. I was like, oh my God, that's it. It'll get now today, thank goodness it's not that bad, but it'll get to where if I turn my head, I can feel my hair moving on my scalp. Now it's not excruciating, but it's weird and it's uncomfortable and it's unsettling. And it's when you're in that state, it's just another layer of, I'm sorry, of BS that I have to deal with. Now, here's the thing. If you're the person who's dealing with this kind of crap, you're entitled to be mad. You're especially entitled to be pissed off on days when you've got a lot to do and your body's just like, nope. You're entitled to be pissed off. You're entitled to grieve. Your life has changed so drastically, so irrevocably. People don't get that. They can't get that. You're entitled to all these unpleasant emotions, but here's the thing. You can't live there because it is self-fulfilling, because the longer you spend there, the worse your symptoms are going to get. And I'm telling you that as the voice of experience. You got to be aware what you put out to the world really is what you're going to get back. And if anybody who doesn't believe that has never dealt with severe pain for very long. So my advice to you, if you're trying to, how the hell do I manage all this? You need to find positive influences. That is step number one. That is the most important thing, in my opinion, that you can do. Now, when I started this journey, I didn't have a lot of positive influences in my life, but you know what? You don't need to. If you're not a positive person right now, you are not going to have a lot of positive influences in your life, because positive people do not hang out with negative people. That's just a fact. But there's books. You can go out and get all kinds of books. You don't even have to buy them. You can go to your library. But some of the books that I really like, You're a Badass by Jen Sincero, Life's Golden Ticket by Brendon Burchard, 15 Invaluable Laws of Leadership. I'm looking around because I know I have the title written down wrong. 15 Invaluable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. Anything by John C. Maxwell, frankly, is going to be uplifting, at least in my opinion. I don't have it in my notes who wrote this, but there's a really good book. Now, it's funny that I'm listing this as a positive influence. There's an amazing book about dealing with trauma. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. And I got to tell you, I have it on Audible. I have a hard copy too, but I have it on Audible. And a lot of times I'll put on, if I can't sleep, I'll put a book on and it'll help me. Generally, it helps me go to sleep. That book did not help me sleep because I was so both horrified and fascinated at the same time. I just couldn't stop listening. It's a very heavy book. There's a lot of very unsettling, distressing things in that book. However, the advice that is contained therein is amazing. So I highly recommend that to people. One Shot, One Life. It's a book by my friend and mentor, Doug Fitzgerald. That's a great book about setting goals and kind of getting your shit together. Excuse me. The Bible is an amazing book. There's a lot of positive things you can find in the Bible to help lift you up when you're struggling. There's tons of podcasts. Good grief. There's tons of podcasts out there. One of my favorite is Brendon Burchard. Trent Shelton, I find him very uplifting. Although I'll be honest, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts anymore. I'll tell you why. Because I have a short attention span. But Trent Shelton's got YouTube. This was actually my next point. YouTube has a lot of really good uplifting content. Above Inspiration is it's a Christian-based one that I love. Trent Shelton, Brendon Burchard. There's a lady I like named Stephanie Lynn Coaching. She talks a lot about our emotional stuff. Oh, Therapy in a Nutshell has some great, I find it uplifting, has some great, and the stuff's all free. That's the coolest thing. You don't have to make any investment if you're not there yet. You got to develop healthy habits. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking the same thing I thought when I first heard this, when I was just diagnosed and I was struggling with how in the hell am I going to manage all this? But I'll tell you, the number of people with fibromyalgia that I have convinced to exercise is unfortunately a really small number. However, every single one of them, with no exceptions, has come back to me and said, "Oh my God, you were right. I know I'm right because I've been there." I'm not telling you to do insanity. In fact, if you have severe pain issues, if you have fibromyalgia, that's my wheelhouse because that's what I deal with. I still love, I miss them. I like intense exercises. It just the mental thing of it for me is really powerful. However, my condition being what it is, they deplete me more than I'm capable of recovering from. So I don't recommend anything overly strenuous, no matter how much you love it. But you know what? Go for a walk. If all you can do today is walk to the end of your driveway and back, you know what? That's great. Do it. And if you hurt too much tomorrow to repeat it, okay, I'll give you a day of grace, but you better get off your ass and go the following day. Because the only way this is going to improve and the only way you're going to see the benefits is if you keep at it. Now, when I first started down this path, this is so embarrassing to admit, I could barely do 10 minutes a day on a Wii Fit. That's a freaking child's toy. And I could barely manage 10 minutes a day because I was so unhealthy and my body hurt so bad. But I kept at it and I kept at it and I kept at it. And now I get my 10,000 steps in every day. I usually get well over. I had to give up my absolutely beloved cardio kickboxing, but I found belly dance and I really like it. You can walk, you can do yoga, you can do Tai Chi, you can belly dance because it's anything low impact. And just keep an eye on your heart rate. Don't get your heart rate over 120 for maybe briefly, but you want to keep your heart rate pretty low when you're dealing with this stuff. Because again, you don't want to deplete yourself more than you're capable of recovering from. There's a great, I like it anyway. There's a YouTube channel called Get Fit with Rick, and it's walking exercises. And it's a little dancey, sure. But if you're like me and you're obsessed with getting your steps in, he's got great videos, make it a lot more fun than just walking laps in your house. You need to meditate. Meditation is going to help you learn how to quiet your mind. And if you cannot quiet your mind, then you cannot quiet your body. Think about it. How many nights have you laid there and your mind is racing and you can just feel your body tensing up? Well, sure. You've got to learn how to quiet that. There's so many different kinds of meditations out there. There's mantra meditations. Find a word or a short phrase that is impactful to you. Set a timer on your phone for like 5 minutes. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Set a timer for just like 5 minutes and inhale and exhale slowly and repeat your mantra. You can go on YouTube and find guided meditations. You can set a timer for, again, when you're starting, I wouldn't do more than 5-10 minutes max when you're first getting started. But set a timer on your phone and just sit down somewhere quietly and focus on your breathing. Make your exhales a count or two longer than your inhales. You'll be amazed at what that does to calm your system down. There's walking meditations. Leave the music off. Keep the phone with you for safety reasons, but don't let it be a distraction and just focus. What is going on around you? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What does the air feel like? Is it warm? Is it breezy? Is it windy? What's it feel like? Are you seeing flowers? Are you seeing a bunch of dead leaves? Are you like, I get to see quite often, I wish they were down by the road more, but my little neighborhood I live in, there's some longhorn cattle up the road. I freaking love it when I see the longhorns. There's horses around here. There's donkeys. I'm assuming soon there's going to be flowers because I've noticed that the trees are getting green leaves. But pay attention. What are you smelling? Are you near a busy road? Are you smelling exhaust? Are you in town? Are you smelling food cooking? Are you out in the country and maybe you're smelling cut grass or horse manure? I don't know what you're smelling, but my point is, the more details that you can notice, that means you're present. That's going to quiet your mind, because if you're present, then you're not worried. You gotta have a journal. And I just talked to my mentor about this yesterday. I've really fallen off the wagon with my journal, and I'm going to tell you why. And it's the dumbest damn reason on earth. And I'm just being honest here. I have a lot of stuff going on that's really heavy emotional crap, and I don't want to deal with it. And even though I know logically that my journal is a really effective way to help me process this stuff and help me work through it, I haven't wanted to face this. I haven't wanted to face a lot of this stuff. So I haven't journaled in several months. It's really embarrassing, honestly. But it's such a healthy way to deal with your unpleasant, your uncomfortable emotions. Gratitude. You should be grateful every day. And if you're really struggling with you're up to here, the pain, the fatigue, and all of it is just, you're done. You should write down 3 things every night that you're grateful for. Do it for a month. You'll be amazed at the difference in your perspective. Now, I don't write it down every night. I should. In fact, I'm going to again because I'm struggling with stress so much. But several years ago, my friend Jennifer and I, we would talk. We would send each other messages on this one app. And she pointed out one day, she's like, oh my gosh, all we do is bitch. And neither one of us are really we're not unhappy people. But we had a friendship to where we could trust each other. It was, for lack of a better term, it was a safe place. So we could say whatever was really on our minds, all the stuff that we didn't want to share with other people. But it wasn't really healthy when that was all we did. So we made a rule. Bitch all you want. Get it all off your chest. But you had to end whatever you were saying. You had to end with 3 things you were grateful for. Now, I'll be honest. There have been times in my life when I've been so depressed that all I could think of to be grateful for, and I say all, because this is stuff we take for granted, but it's not all. These are huge things. I had a roof over my head. I had running water. And I had electricity. Those 3 things put you ahead of millions of people on this planet. And they're things we take so for granted, but you should be grateful for them. You need to celebrate your wins. Is it a really high pain day? Did you get up and brush your teeth? You know what? That's a win. And I'll tell you why that's a win. Because one of my friends is a dental hygienist. And years ago, I was like, I should go into this. I think I could do this because I love people. Yeah, I could do this. And she laughed and she's like, you could not do this job. And I got kind of offended. Why would you say that? And she said, because I know how you are about dental hygiene. And I have people that come through here every day that never, ever brush their teeth. So I don't know why somebody would choose that. I try not to be judgmental, but if you got up and brushed your teeth, especially if it's a high pain day, that's a win. Write that down. Did you make it from the bed to the couch? There's days when that's a hell of a big win. Now, I personally, I have a thing. I cannot lounge around the house. I don't care how crappy I feel. I cannot lounge around in whatever I slept in. So did you change into something else? I don't care if all you put on was raggedy sweats. If you got out of your pajamas and you made it out of bed and you brushed your teeth, those are 3 wins. Those are 3 things that you need to celebrate at the end of a high pain day, because it would have been so much easier to just stay in bed in your pajamas all day. Oh, I really hope you would have brushed your teeth anyway. Did you allow, this is one I cannot do. I thought I had mastered this, but then things changed in my office and I'm back to having a big problem with it. But if you have health issues and you manage to stay home from work and you did it without beating yourself up all day, that's a huge freaking win. I'd go so far as to say that almost counts for 3 wins in itself. But these things are important. You've got to celebrate your small wins because it's so easy to get consumed by the negativity of it all. It's so easy for the pain and the exhaustion and all the other crap that goes with this to overwhelm you. So if you just take a moment, okay, this wasn't my most productive day. However, I got up, I brushed my teeth, I made it to the couch. Be grateful for those things. Celebrate those things. Write that shit down at the end of the day. For me, of course, I say that and I'm not dressed very nicely, but I like to dress pretty nicely. I mean, I don't dress fancy. I don't wear dresses or anything, but I'm almost always in heels. I even have winter boots with heels because, yes, I'm that kind of girl. I don't give a damn what anybody thinks about it. I put on my makeup pretty much every day. Why? It's funny because I remember when I was young one day, my mom was sick. Now, my mama was a good Southern lady. But my mom was sick and she was putting on her face and I was like, why in the hell why are you putting on your face when you don't feel good? Why would you do that? And it just makes me feel better. Well, you know what? I get that now. For me, especially on a really challenging day, if I put my face on, it makes me feel like I have a little control. It's a sense of normalcy. Something else you need to learn to do, and this is one I'm really struggling with right now. But if you're dealing with chronic pain, if you have just chronic health issues in general, you've got to learn how to let shit go. Don't beat yourself up over things you cannot do. Because you know what? One of the biggest lines of crap we've been handed is, well, you can do it all. No, you can't. No, you can't. I don't give a damn who you are. The healthiest person on the planet cannot do it all. That is such a lie. You have to let go of things. You have to give yourself grace. Okay, you know what? I wish as I sit here looking around my house, I wish my house was cleaner, but I didn't feel good today. I didn't get it done. Okay, you know what? The state of your house doesn't make you a good person. That being said, yes, it's more for me anyway, I dare say for most people, you relax better in a clean environment. I know this. There's studies that show that clutter actually or even though you think you walk by and don't pay attention, in your brain, it's like, wait a minute, what are you going to do about this? And when you ignore it, it's actually stimuli. And so it causes more stress in the long run. However, you're going to have to balance. You got to find a balance with this stuff. And okay, can I live with the clutter where it's at for today? Set a goal. Do 10 minutes a day decluttering your house. That's not very much. You should be able to do that even on a high pain. You don't have to do it all at once. But if you put 10 minutes a day in, it's going to take a while, but the momentum will build and you'll start to see a shift. You know what else you need to let go of? Negative damn people. Don't give your power away. You don't have the time, energy, or patience for crappy people. No. Sometimes we can't just walk away from crappy people. Sometimes those crappy people are their family, or they're maybe a roommate or colleagues or your boss. I mean, there's a lot of situations that you can't walk away from, and you're going to have to, when dealing with those people, you're going to have to learn how to limit your exposure, and you're going to have to set boundaries. It's not easy, but I mean, this is your mental and physical health we're talking about here. Are you really more worried about pissing that other person off? They don't deserve that kind of power. You got to remember to be kind to yourself. You got to be kind to others even when they don't really deserve it. Not for their sake, but for your own. Because I know for me, when I give into that, it becomes a downward spiral. And that's what I've been struggling with this week. I had somebody, I'm very upset with a situation that there's not a whole lot I can really do about it. The person who has the power in the situation we just see the world very, very, very differently. And it's caused me a lot of stress. But you know what? Being angry and like sitting here plotting revenge fantasies, all that's going to do is keep me in that pissed off state. I've got to learn. I'm working really hard on being kind about the whole thing. And, I try to focus on this person's better qualities instead of on the qualities of theirs that I don't care for. And, it's a mutual feeling. I can guarantee you this person doesn't think a whole hell of a lot of me either. That's okay. We don't have to like each other. You don't have to like everybody. But you should still be kind. You need to remember this too shall pass. Tomorrow really is another day. And honestly, how I get through, now this flare is not so much physical. I'm just under a lot of emotional stress. And this is harder for me to Pollyanna my way out of. But when it's physical, when it's a lot of physical pain, I always tell myself, well, tomorrow will probably be better. And if tomorrow's not better, then by golly, the next day will probably be better. And that's really the approach I need to take with this emotional stuff. It's just harder for me to let go of. Just because I know what I'm supposed to do doesn't mean I'm good at doing it all the time. And finally, you got to remember that you are not your illness. You are not your diagnosis. It is so easy to let this crap consume you. And it's so easy because we spend so much time in doctor's offices and we spend so much time trying to manage symptoms and taking medications and supplements and eating and just all the things that we have to do. It's so easy to let this consume you and become your identity. And I did that for a long time. But you know what? This is just the chronic pain, the chronic illness. It's just part of my life. It's granted, it's a pretty big part of my life. I wish I could ignore it a lot more, but it's literally just one component of my life. It's not my identity. It's not who I am. I don't think there's very many people in my life, and I used to really feel this way, but I don't think anybody, I won't say anybody, I don't think very many people look at me like, oh, there's the sick chick. I used to think that. Now I think people are like, hey, she's a kind person. She likes to help other people out. The sick thing might come in there, but it's not good. I don't think it's very often the top thing. So if it's not top to somebody else, it shouldn't be top to you. I went way off. Anyway, I'm exhausted, y'all. I am so emotionally spent. And here's the fun thing about chronic pain that I bet a lot of healthy people don't know, unless you've heard me talk about it before, of course. But it gets worse at night. It always gets worse. And finally, I was like, oh, thank goodness I can crawl in bed and I can relax. Yeah, you'd think so. I mean, even if I meditate and journal and do all the things that I should do right before bed, even if I do that right before bed, I crawl into bed and my mind is pretty calm and quiet. Well, the distractions of the day are gone when you crawl into bed. That's when you start to notice the pain. Anyway, I don't know why in the hell I even brought that up because I have no way to close that off. But yeah, I have no idea why I brought that up. But it's just part of what we live with. So if you know somebody who's dealing with chronic illness and or chronic pain, or if you're the one dealing with it and you don't know what to do, drop me a line. I can't solve your problems, but I can share with you a lot of resources that have made a tremendous difference for me over the years and that have enabled me to go from someone who was really bitter and angry and depressed. I mean, freaking depressed for years, to someone who's known as being positive and having a generally good outlook on life. And if I can do that, anybody can. And I'll tell you, hand to God, the more positive I can stay, the better my symptoms feel. So the better my body feels, the better, the quiet, because it quiets my mind more, which means my body can quiet. Anyway, I'm rambling. I hope you all have a great weekend. I will be back Monday at 7 o'clock Central. Thanks.